Welcome to G3, Games, Gadgets, and Guests, a monthly podcast from 702 Communications. I'm your host, Brent Crommett. On today's show, we went where no one has gone before. We had Artemis at the Planetarium, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk with Annie Wood from the Prairie Den. All right, so let's get right into it then and talk about Artemis. We talked with Sarah on one of my last podcasts from the Planetarium. She had come to our first gamer meetup and was talking about new opportunities that we might have at the Planetarium to do some gaming. And finally, that vision was realized on June 28th, July 28th, not June. We had a great event over at the Planetarium. The crew over at the Planetarium did a fantastic job of setting up. It was all very professional. It went really smoothly, and the crowd was amazing. We had a full house there, and the Planetarium was, just stoked about the attendance and the event. And we had people bring their whole crews to fly the Starship, and there were a lot more space whales slaughtered than I'd ever seen before in an Artemis game. But curiously enough, the audience cheered and apparently had a grudge against space whales. So everybody had a good time. Lots of people got a chance to play. And like I say, the Planetarium's really excited about it. They're looking at scheduling more events like that. And they're looking for more feedback on, games they could play besides Artemis. So I know that Sarah and the crew over there would love to hear anybody's suggestions. So if you've got any of those, go ahead and hit them up again on their Facebook page, MSUM Planetarium Facebook, and be looking for more information about upcoming events because, like I say, everybody was excited, and we're going to do more of that. We were also really excited to see the forum do a nice write-up on that whole event. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, I've got a link to that on my Facebook page, and I'm sure Sarah at the Planetarium does too. So thanks again to everybody who came to that event. And like I say, if you didn't make it this time, there's going to be another one. So be on the lookout for it and join us next time.
Imagine a guy sitting in his darkened room. He's wearing a headset and microphone. His hands work feverishly in the darkness, lit only by the light of his computer screen. It's been hours since he's eaten, days since he's seen the light of day. He is a gamer. He's obsessed, and he requires a connection that is lightning fast and stable enough for him to fend off his attackers. Now, if we can keep this guy happy, think how happy we can make you and your business. 702 is IT. 702com.biz.
Well, let's get right in then to our first guest. It's a big day. We've got a non-gamey, non-technical guest here today in Annie Wood from the Prairie Den here in Fargo. So Annie, welcome to the show. Annie, you may be as fun as anybody I've ever met, honestly.
Can I get that in writing? I want to prove that to my friends and family.
It's on the internet now for posterity. So Annie, tell me a little bit about the Prairie Den for people that maybe haven't heard about it yet.
Yeah, the Prairie Den is a new co-working and collaborative space, plus an event and gathering space in the heart of downtown Fargo. So Emerging Prairie took on this project because we believed in the opportunities to create community that exist with a co-working space. So then what's really exciting for the gaming community is that we love opening up our doors to folks in the gaming community, folks in the meetup community, and inviting them in to use it because we want it to be active and vibrant. And so we know that it's by inviting people in that will make that happen. And so we've had the Fargo Game Makers already use it once for their monthly meeting. It was fantastic. They brought in some food and some drinks and got together. There's about 35 of them there that night, and they were able to break up into some smaller groups and show off what they've been working on. In addition, we also invited them in to do a game jam. Now, I didn't know what a game jam was until I got approached by CJ Schnazzy and Kyle Wyke, and they said, Annie, we have this great idea. We want to make it happen. And I said, well, what can the Prairie Den do? And they said, we need some space. So we chatted about it. They came in during the street fair, so a Friday night into a Saturday afternoon, and they built out 3 different games. And so what they did was broke into teams, started conceptualizing games and concepts, and then they broke into teams to make those happen. So all night they were coding and building and creating 3D models and doing all these sort of fun, crazy things. I popped in and I had no idea what they were doing because, as you mentioned, I'm not really very
Not
techie.
really a gamer.
Not really a gamer, but it was really cool to watch them and watch them write all the code to make things happen and watch them do the modeling to create the characters and see the piles upon piles of pizza boxes and Mountain Dew cans and watch them take a few power naps, to keep going. I looked at all their drawings on the whiteboard walls that we have in some areas of the space, and it was really cool to watch them map out the games and things like that. So that sort of opportunity is what we really love about the Prairie Den, is being able to open our doors to people who want to do fun things like that. And we've got gigabit internet from 702. So
you sure do.
I sure do. And so it's nice. It's fast. It's awesome. We got great feedback from them of being able to plug into, if they needed a hardline for their desktop that they brought in, or even the Wi-Fi is awesome throughout the space. So they appreciated it. We're excited to do more events like that.
Yeah. So this is like a double duty plug for me, because you guys have a great space for just work, co-working and that whole environment. And we're excited about all of that. But then it's this flip side where you've got this great, possible event space. And I'm really happy to hear, about the Game Makers event there. And I saw them post on Twitter about it, that it was like the best attended Game Makers meetup that they had ever had. So everybody's excited about, what you guys are doing over there. And I think that there are, endless possibilities, for that space. So we are looking forward. I'm happy to announce that 702's next gaming meetup is also going to be at the Prairie Den.
Woohoo!
I know, we're excited. On August 25th, everybody. So start putting that on your calendars. We're going to have that. In fact, I can announce this too. We're really shooting for getting that gaming meetup on a more regular schedule. So the fourth Tuesday of every month. This month, it's going to be at the Prairie Den. We're not exactly sure what we're going to play there yet. We're still feeling that out. You might have to keep checking back for more information on that. But I think it's cool too that you talk about the games they were developing there. CJ was actually at our last meetup then, which was right after that weekend, and he was showing us his game, that Cursed Gold that he's working on in development for Wii U on the Unity platform. But then he said, and here's this other game that we just developed over the course of like 12 hours. Would you guys like to play this? And everybody gathered around and we were playing that game. And I don't know if that's what they put together that weekend, but I have a very strong suspicion that game and all the fun that came out of it came from, that collaboration too. So that's very cool to see, all what can happen. Again, you put the right people together. So
yeah, I bet it was, because they actually demoed the games then on Saturday afternoon and invited people up, and we put out some signage down in the street fair. And so it's really cool for them to get some exposure from people who just happen to be downtown, trying to get their mini corn dog or their mini donut fix. Or if you're like me, you love the funnel cakes. And then they're able to head up to the Prairie Den and take a look at some of the really unique things that people in our community are doing. And that's something that they heard and we've heard, that it was a cool opportunity to learn that people are actually building video games in Fargo. Mm-hmm. So many people have no idea that the tech community that exists.
So how can people come and check out the space and learn more about the Prairie Den?
Yeah, so the Prairie Den, we're trying to really turn it into the student union in the heart of Fargo. So the way that a student union on a college campus helps give you a space to do work that matters, a place to make meaningful connections, and also then the opportunity to attend fun social events or educational events where you're learning some different things or meeting with people who have similar interests. So that's what we're trying to do with the Prairie Den. So if you want to come check it out, we have the doors open from about 8:30 to 5:30 every day. And myself and most of my team from Emerging Prairie, plus all of our members, are working out of the space co-working during the day. I'm really getting good at giving tours. So if you want a tour, just pop on in and we would love to inform you about what's going on in the space, what kind of exciting things we have. If you're interested in a membership in that co-working opportunity, we can share some of those things with you. And also then we have, a wide variety of events that take place in this space. So just last week we held an e-commerce breakfast. That's one of our meetup groups in Fargo-Moorhead. We also held Startup Drinks, which was a really cool social event. We were able to showcase some of the artists that have contributed to the Prairie Den. It's got about 10 different artists who've been contributing pieces and doing installations. So it's really fun. It's a very unique space. So I've coined the term Fargofied. I think it's going to catch on. Merriam-Webster's going to put it in the dictionary really soon. But it's really this idea that we're creating a space that can only exist in Fargo, because it's Fargo-centric and it's artwork that has come from Fargo artists and is inspired by Fargo and our community here. So we're excited about it.
It's really one of the cool things about that space right now is because, you guys are putting it together, a lot with donations and stuff like that. And so it's not like you've got this big, rigid, structured, this is an office type environment and everybody's serious about doing work. I mean, serious work gets done there, obviously. But you've got kind of, I don't want to offend you by saying a mismatch of furniture and stuff like that, but you do. And you've got the cool artwork that's going in there. So it really is becoming a space that's made the personality of the occupants is really taking shape there. So I think that's really cool.
It is really fun. It's fun to see the wide variety of people that are there. Folkways is there working on some things like for the Red River Market and for Alley Fair. And then, Ide Bailey has a presence downtown. They have folks who come and work out of there. 702's working out of there sometimes. We have a variety of people.
Not as often as I'd like.
Yeah, we'll work on that, Brian.
Yeah, okay.
And then, Emerging Prairie's team is there. Co-Schedule and Today Made. There are a couple of different tech companies work out of there. And then we have a lot of individuals, too, who are working out of there on their solo projects. Jake from the Clink app, it works out of there once in a while. And we also have, a variety of people who work on different projects, on the side or as their full-time job that use the space. So it's this really cool community that's developing and these fun connections that are being made. And I've had more than one person tell me that this is really cool. These are people I wouldn't have met otherwise. So we're excited about it.
The other thing that I think is really cool, the way we're just talking about it, I mean, you can buy memberships to it, and you've got this super fast internet, and you've got this great, environment there, but that really probably lends people or makes people think, I bet you I can't afford to have an event there or something like that. But you guys have really great event rates there. Do you want to plug
Sure.
how affordably you can get into that space and just see it?
Yeah, if you ever just want to stop in for a tour, that's, of course, completely free. We've got day passes if you want to work and from the space that are only $15, which is a lot lower than a lot of rates around the country that you'll find. And so we've got a variety of membership levels if you're interested in that. But otherwise, on the event side, for us, it's not about making money from the space. It's a space that we want to give as a gift to our community because we believe in connecting people with other people and the value that comes from that. So for us, we've got special pricing for meetups because we want to encourage them to be meeting and to be active. So that's, like $10 an hour for the large event space. And for our members, people who are wanting to have events there for their company or their organization, it's only like $25 an hour. And then for folks who aren't members at the Prairie Den, we do a $50 an hour rate. And, I'll be totally honest, we are willing to be flexible on that. If people have a true need and say, hey, that's not something we can quite afford at this point, we say then, well, how else could you add value? Could we do a trade for some of your time or something like that? Where, if you offer to vacuum the space after you're done with your event, we'll trim that rate down. So we're really, for us, it's about getting the community in there far beyond making money.
No, and that's awesome. And that's why we're interested. And that's why we, done what we've done to partner with you guys. And we're looking forward to seeing what we can do to use that space better. So I know you guys have website in development right now, but how can people follow you guys right now in Prairie Den and what's happening there?
Well, our website right now is tied to the Emerging Prairie website. So if you just go to emergingprairie.com and click on Prairie Den Co-working, you get to the information about the rates and how to sign up. And then Bard Creative is building out a website for us right now. I've seen some of it. So far, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's going to really help us demonstrate the community that exists there, far beyond just the plans and pricing piece or beyond the membership piece. We're building out, pictures about what's going on here, and we're building out a calendar of what's going on. We're putting together a scheduling system. If you're looking for an event, you could click on the calendar, see if there's anything going on. So like on August 25th, you'll see there's a gaming meetup going on with 702. So it's also going to be that really cool tool of being able to make reservations through the calendar as well as see what's happening at the Prairie Den.
The lovely and talented Annie Wood, thanks so much for coming today.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me on. It's fun to talk about the Prairie Den and enjoy your company as well.
Thanks, Annie. And after the break here, we're going to be chatting about next-gen consoles with my brother. So stay tuned. And we're back. So a while back, if you've been listening to the podcast, I was talking about how I hadn't pulled the trigger on a next-gen console. So while I call myself a gamer, I hadn't gone through with the upgrade to the Xbox One or the PS4. And it's really been because there hadn't been that killer game that I really felt like I needed. And well, it's summertime too, so I kind of felt like you don't need to buy a new console. You should be outside enjoying some sun in the 3 months of good weather we have. But anyway, so news started coming out and release dates started getting set for some of the games that I had really been looking forward to. So Rainbow Six Siege has a release date, and Star Wars Battlefront has a release date. And so I decided then at that point that it really was time to probably go ahead and pony up for the console, because I would probably be standing in line or pre-ordering those titles because I need to play them as soon as they come out. And I at the work, they're going to see PTO days on the calendar for me on some of those release dates. I'm pretty sure. So if they're, like I say, I'm a gamer, but my gaming skills pale in comparison to my younger brother Brent's. It's probably safe to say that Brent has finished more games this year than I have completed in my entire life, because
it's probably accurate.
He's really good at that. So I'm going to welcome to my game and gadget segment my brother Brent. So Brent, welcome to the show.
Yes, hello.
So Brent, I've always kind of been, I went from Nintendo straight to Xbox, but tell us a little bit about like your gaming history.
Oh, I suppose it started watching you, honestly, on Nintendo games. But, and then one day I won a Super Nintendo from McDonald's, I believe, for drawing a picture of what I thought the weather was going to be like.
Now I'm vaguely remembering that.
It was one of the greatest days, probably.
Of your whole childhood.
Yep. And then, I don't know, it was Super Nintendo for a while. And then I think PlayStation 1 came around. And that was enjoyable. I never got on the Xbox train until you guys convinced me that I needed to game with you.
So why the PlayStation train?
Excellent question. I don't know. I think it just kind of felt that way.
Mm-hmm. And then you just kept with it. So
I just kept with it. Yeah. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. Then Xbox 360.
And you were the PlayStation guy that every game that came out that you wanted, you bought. So you had this racks and racks of PlayStation games.
I had low amounts of responsibility, so all of my paychecks went there, yes.
As was evidenced by your den.
Correct, yep.
Which at the time was maybe your bedroom. But
yeah.
Anyway, so then Xbox came out and I and my close friends were playing, Rainbow Six and stuff like that. And we kind of talked you into joining the fun for that, because PlayStation didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't always have this multiplayer network that a bunch of people were on and gaming on.
Did, and it was free actually, but none of my friends had it. So I jumped the rails and purchased one.
And went to the Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. You never had a regular Xbox.
Correct.
Okay. So then... And you've always been the guy who got the console first then too. I was always a late adopter to these as consoles came out.
Yep, I think I bought a PS4 a couple of months after it came out.
Yeah. So you were the first one with the next gen console, and I maybe had it in the back of my mind that just like when you bought the PS3, I could probably talk you into the 360 as well. But then as time went on, you started to take a stand that, hey, you don't need the Xbox One. You should really go ahead and jump ship to the PS4. And we had some debate about that because, they're very similar consoles, but you had some arguments that the PS4 was maybe the better console. And
yes, mostly because of the proprietary titles. There is something to be said about the resolution between the two, but I don't think you really care about that once you're into a game. You don't really notice. So I think that, for Xbox, it's like Gears of War and Halo and stuff like that, and I've never really cared about those games.
Me neither.
Yeah, so, and then PlayStation has, like Infamous and the Uncharted series and...
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us was really great.
And Bloodborne.
Bloodborne is very frustrating.
Yeah. So these are the arguments that Brent had for me. And in fairness, there should also be a disclaimer that Brent kind of distrusts everything Microsoft.
Well, I do have to work with their products every day.
Okay, so Microsoft in a professional environment, Brent is a fan of your product.
Yeah.
In a personal environment, there's no real loyalty or tie there. So
not necessarily. No.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, when Brent and I were talking about it, they're the same price. The exclusive titles, that the Xbox has versus the PlayStation has wasn't a deal breaker for me to need to stay in the Xbox realm. Although I will say that I am very disappointed that I couldn't bring my Xbox Borderlands 2 save over. So in the last couple of days when I've needed a Borderlands 2 fix, the Xbox 360 has turned back on. But I went ahead and I purchased a PS4. And it's you and me, and then two of my good gaming friends, Guy and Kurt, they went ahead and they bought PS4s. And so we all got them hooked up and we were all really excited. And we started trying to play games together, and we haven't found a really good multiplayer game yet. And I won't lie, we blame you.
That's fine. I never promised multiplayer fabulousness, I guess, but
maybe I didn't push hard enough.
I mean, I've been sitting here for months playing single player games, and they've been pretty good, but so I can't attest to the multiplayer.
Because you've been waiting for us.
I've been waiting for you.
Okay. But that said, so without the multiplayer, there are some cool single player games out there. So what have been your favorite on the PS4 so far?
Well, I've been playing The Witcher 3 recently, which is just single player. There's no multiplayer options there. And it.
Did you play the other Witchers?
I played The Witcher 2, which I picked up on Steam for like $3 at one point, and that was pretty fun. Witcher 3 is quite a bit better. It's very long. I mean, there's a lot to do in it. I haven't finished it yet, but that's pretty enjoyable. And like you were talking about earlier, Bloodborne. Seriously frustrating.
That's what I've read. I've read reviews on it that really, if you're not a serious gamer, you're going to have trouble with Bloodborne.
Oh, and yeah, I have lots of trouble with Bloodborne.
Even as a serious gamer.
Yeah, and I don't usually get mad at games, but on the verge of throwing controllers with that one. But I did finish it, and I did buy it, so I'll borrow it too.
Okay, that sounds like a deal. For my part, I bought the PS4 with the Last of Us bundle. I haven't played The Last of Us yet.
Excellent game.
Because on your recommendation, I put the Shadows of Mordor on my wish list, and my sister actually bought it for me for my birthday. So I had that game before I had the console. So first day I got the console, I put in Shadows of Mordor, and that, I've talked before about how I really like first person shooters, and the third person thing always kind of feels button mashy to me. But I'll tell you what, Shadows of Mordor has kind of drawn me into the story, and it is still kind of button mashy. The one thing about the PlayStation environment that didn't happen in Xbox gameplay is there's a lot of, okay, you're in this tense situation, push this button now.
Yes.
So that's been an adjustment for me. The orc is going to chop my head off. I need to press triangle. Press it now.
Yeah, I've never really appreciated that, but it's a thing.
So that's been a little bit hard to adjust to, but Shadows of Mordor is really a cool game, and that whole, I think they call it the Nemesis engine or something like that, where you're the opponents that kill you get to level up in the game, and you're going to face them, going forward. I think that's really cool because that really drives a revenge element of the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so your anger rises a little bit at the cheap shots, and you're going to go find that guy who killed you again. So
and then he kills you again.
Maybe twice that happened. Yeah. So, okay, so Shadows of Mordor is a really good PlayStation 4 game. The Witcher 3, you're recommending. Bloodborne, if you have a high if you have a high tolerance for getting your butt kicked, you have is a good game.
If you enjoy suffering.
Suffering. All right, I like that. And what else is in your queue right now, Brent?
I just got the new Batman game that everybody hated for PC because it was limited to 30 FPS and whatever like that. And it plays well on PS4. But I guess I haven't gotten too far into it. I thought they didn't really finish Batman as a character very well in it.
I think I saw some reviews that said something to
really?
that effect too. Yeah.
Yeah, like the NPCs and stuff all look really good, and then there's a close up of Batman, and you're like, that's not done.
And I think I read some frustration too that there's an awful lot of Batmobile time that seems unnecessary in the game.
Yeah, that might be true. Like I said, I haven't gotten into it too far, but
okay. Well, so at the end of the day, the decision's been made. We've got the PlayStation 4s. In fairness, my kids are are still Xbox, and their friends sound like they're pretty dedicated and moving to the Xbox One. So there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to end up with an Xbox One as well, which is, I guess, fair because I made you get both last time. So at this point,
So then I'll have to get one of those as well.
right, so that you can continue to game with your nephews. But
Suppose.
and then we can talk about all of the cool Xbox games sometime
If
down the road too.
Yes.
Oh,
No.
ye of little faith.
Mm.
But anyway, for now, PlayStation's cool. Really looking forward to some other titles. Are there any other titles that I didn't mention that you're really looking forward to?
Fallout.
The new Fallout.
Mhm.
Yeah. I never got into that as much. I didn't play that all the way through.
You
But it's
will.
probably because I was so involved in Borderlands 2.
Could be.
That really, I've days of my life have gone
That'll happen with Fallout.
into that.
Don't
Okay,
worry.
That's what I hear.
Don't worry.
So, Fallout, Star Wars Battlefront, Rainbow Six. All right. Looking forward to them. Brent, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for making me famous.
And we're going to be right back in a minute. And that's it. Thanks again to my guests, Andy from the Prairie Den and Brent from right here at 702. As we talked about, we've got that next gaming meetup coming up on August 25th at the Prairie Den. So keep checking my Facebook page and my Twitter account and all my social media meetup pages for more info on that. Remember also that this podcast is now available on iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher. And of course, we're still on YouTube. So thanks again for listening. I'm Brent Crommett, and until next time, game on.